What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol AVIR for Atea Pharmaceuticals. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, I need to let you know about the catalyst that sent the stock much lower on today's session. Had a lot to do with the drug they had in development failing. That, of course, was a treatment for the sickness, if you will, if you pick up on what I'm saying. And basically, if I scrunch this chart up, I mean, that's kind of all it had going for it, right? It was slowly grinding higher on anticipations that maybe there was some sort of approval. Obviously, that all fell apart to the downside here, leaving us with a massive gap down on the chart. So let's start off by giving ourselves a daily roadmap, just pointing out obvious areas of support and resistance. The major thing to really be concerned with, of course, is the overhead gap. So from about 1664 up to 3872 is the remainder of the gap. What other critical levels could stand in the way? Well, I would make the argument for this one here at 2572, maybe this floor as well at 2127, and then lastly kind of this area here before unlocking. Maybe it's this. Okay, again, we're talking about a massive gap up. I'm not even saying that this will be in play anytime this week, next month, anything like that, but I would be aware of about 34. I wouldn't really cherry pick that mid-level, which we just kind of looked at. So that's it from the daily. Obviously, I want to give my condolences to anyone who was kind of building along up in here. The first thing I would point out, and again, I know this is very difficult. I've tried to give this advice on the channel in the past before. I can't really tell you what to do with your position, but whenever you're suffering a massive loss, and I mean, this is a massive loss, right? Basically coming from 40 now to, sub 20, over a 50% loss, right? So I know it's very difficult to do, but at least consider that if you were to cut the position down here, then how would you be freeing up your mental capital, your mental capacity to focus on other opportunities and then capitalize on them rather than holding on to hope, checking in on this stock every single day, seeing if we made a higher high? Did we make a higher low? Did we make a lower low? Is it starting to get worse, right? All of these things can really tear up your mental capacity to trade and be involved in the market. And again, if you're long from anywhere up above 40 or basically this zone of the chart, I know it's a very difficult thing to do, but at least consider your options here if you're, someone who wants to either remain in the trade or potentially cut it, right? In my estimation, in my own experience, and again, I can't tell you what to do, it's always been better to just cut it, move on, accept the big loss, and again, try to find that next opportunity that'll help your equity curve back in the right direction. So that's kind of my thoughts from, the perspective, right, of, people who might be underwater here. And again, I want to sympathize with those people because yes, it's incredibly difficult to do, stomach a massive loss like that. In terms of how the day's action actually unfolded here, would I be fishing for longs? Absolutely not. Until we put in some sort of structural bottom down here where we can clearly set a stop loss. So that might look something like an inverted head and shoulders, something like a double bottom, right? There's your neckline kind of panning out. Could look like a number of things. I wouldn't really be fishing for new longs. And the main thing I wanted to point out from today's session, let's go ahead and take out the fibs here. Obviously, the dip was bought, right? Basically moving about 6 points higher. And that's going to be a significant day trading range. Don't get me wrong. This will probably be a phenomenal day trader as long as volume wants to remain elevated. But if we look at what's going on with the pullback zone, we basically held the 50% mark into the end of the day, which is kind of noteworthy. In a picture perfect world, it would have been the 38.2. We would have consolidated here, then maybe put in another run tomorrow. But now that we're technically underneath the 50% mark, kind of hovering at and around just below that 38.2 in the post market, I can see those numbers right in there. Be a little bit more skeptical, right? Just a little bit more skeptical. Generally, again, it would have been better for the 38.2 to hold. So to me, it's going to be all about the fibs here because we really don't have any structure to pay attention to. If we can get back inside of this kind of range, again, fine, healthy consolidation happens here, breakout higher, maybe starts to mitigate some of this loss if you participated in this massive gap down in the not so productive way. In terms of areas where I would absolutely not want to be involved in this trade, it's simply breaking down underneath the 61.8 or $13, right? Underneath 13, the likelihood for this is dramatically increased. And again, I would not want to have anything to do with this stock if it takes out 13 to the downside. So those are my rough areas to pay attention to. This video is really about, again, sort of sympathizing with those who might be long from in here and offering some perspective as to what served me better, cutting loss or holding on to hope. And again, if this is a large position size for you, I know it's not going to be easy, but think about the opportunities that will, arise or you'll be open to at least if you, one, free up some capital, literal capital, but 2, free up the mental capacity to be thinking about other positions and not being preoccupied with this stock here. So that's going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed it, but more importantly, the perspective that I've shared, not so much the levels, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.